welcome to another episode of Inspo Cow. So, I am Kay Hana and I am a lecturer for the School of Fashion Studies and...
Hello, this is Nicholas. I am a lecturer with the School of Music. And our guest for today...
Hi, I'm Hubert. So I'm a design strategist and I'm currently in the technology industry.
Wonderful.
Interesting. Okay, so there have been a lot of talk about the rise of AI, right? Of course, we are going to jump into this in a bit. But I really want to ask you a very important question.
Sure.
What's your tea?
Wow, what a way to start. I used to be a tea person, but
Okay.
now, because the caffeine kind of, I need it heating, which is why the cup here.
Yes.
So I prefer coffee now.
What kind of coffee? Sugar, no sugar?
Ice
Cream, no
Americano, because I'm
See?
sadistic like that.
See, I tell you, same. Again, black coffee, no sugar. That's the only way.
And it's healthier.
Yay! So, sorry.
It's okay.
Sorry, 2 for 2.
It's fine.
No tea.
There's nothing wrong.
Okay.
I will still stick to tea. Poison of choice. Yeah.
So, here at Inspo Cow, if you are ever wondering, hey, does Singapore have an arts or design culture? If we even have a scene, are we boring? Are we interesting? What's going on locally? If you ever feel uninspired about your practice or you actually just want to jump into, being a creative or you're just wondering.
If you are kaypoh,
Yeah, if you're K-pop, basically, that's why you should watch us here at Inspo Cow.
what is a design strategist? What do you do?
So I always tell the people I meet, and even my ex-students, I'm kind of like a wizard,
Okay.
looking through this crystal ball of sorts, helping to design tomorrow's design today. So I actually navigate, I do have a very multidisciplinary background, so which later I'll cover on as well. So I typically navigate the convergence of design business, UX research and strategy, and digital transformation and innovation. And I guess it's a lot about framing the right questions between the macro and micro level, understanding the situation that at hand, and helping businesses to thrive in the digital age.
Did you understand anything?
No, absolutely nothing at all, which is why I'm now about to ask you to give us a few concrete examples of what you do, maybe like what is a project that you do. Walk us through what you do in a day so to help a lot of us understand what your day is. Because I think for a lot of people in NAFA, they do not see themselves doing anything beyond what they're actually doing in school now.
Yeah.
And what you're doing now doesn't sound like what they are doing in school. So talk us through that. What do you do?
So for me, a lot of it is finding the aha moment. That's what
Okay.
I would say in very much simple terms. So, and also looking at certain issues that the world is currently facing. So what I typically do is very complex systemic issues. So my day is really about managing complexities at scale. So when we talk about complexities, like what do we say? And for me, I look at, what if we could move towards this world, and what is the situation, and what could be, and envision a preferred future together with our customers, our individuals that we work with.
So how did you go from graduating in fine arts to doing what you're doing now? Yeah.
And was that transition easy?
So I guess, am I not painting for life? No.
I don't know. We
So-
want to know.
So for me, I still do embrace my fine art roots. Honestly, even in my degree, I took on a minor in art history because I wanted to reconnect with the fine arts aspect. So and on the topic of transition, I would say it has been pretty seamless because even in NAFA, I would say maybe I was one of kind of the lucky few because despite studying fine arts, I do have friends across the various disciplines, from fashion, from performing arts.
Tip to all students, please make sure you have friends in different disciplines. Don't just hang out in your own circles. No, seriously.
Yeah,
Okay.
your network is your net worth, right?
Really, no, it's not just discipline. Just make friends. Seriously, make friends. Learn to speak English as well. Okay, so
Interdisciplinary.
yeah, seriously, make friends. Okay, but we digress. Back to you.
So on the topic of why it was seamless, because the whole idea of what you've said, interdisciplinary, came into light when I was still studying here in NAFA. So actually I was approached by, shout out to Dr. Joyce Koh, Miss Grace Leong, and Miss Oscar Ng. So actually they were the three pivotal people, leaders that actually helped shape my entire view of what arts could be. So they actually approached me to start off the first interdisciplinary led module called Interspace. I find myself being very excited about the whole idea of working with my different friends because we could connect on such a personal level. But that aside, I guess that transcends beyond what we typically do. And when I had the opportunity to lead the first interdisciplinary module, it went really successful. And we even proposed radical concepts like working with performers, music, like to create an exhibition. So I had an opportunity to create exhibitions that were combining all three schools together.
Oh, that's so cool.
Yeah.
So why do you think that this is important?
I guess that whole sharing of knowledge and the whole idea that art is a universal language, I wanted to really delve into, how we could create together, and explore these possibilities together. And at the time, I didn't really understand the concept of what interdisciplinary could mean, but I just wanted to have fun, and see what tangible outputs could be out there. And as we were moving along, we started to, talk about how, the sound could, resonate with the space, and how could fashion people, help to work with certain fine art to create an installation, for example. And we even proposed this very radical place. It was at NAFA's car park, actually. I attribute my design leadership to them as well, for empowering me to be at my best and to connect me with the right people. And that led to a really successful module. And I believe the module is still ongoing today. Yeah, and I was also glad to be part of the second one where I embraced performing arts. So I went to National Gallery. I can't dance for nuts, honestly. And I had to perform
Right.
reimagine what the painting could be like in the form of a performance.
Right.
And
It's very interesting.
it was a bit embarrassing for me at start, but I started to get a understanding of what dancers and performing artists feel when they are in the zone. Being one with the environment, listening to how the beat is like, that kind of thing. And that actually made me realize I enjoy working in a multi-stakeholder approach.
Right. So that's why it was seamless to the transition. I also think, right, like with the interdisciplinary concept for different schools, different stakeholders, this will bring up, consequentially, endless possibilities, right? The way that you are able to work with different stakeholders, different people with different skills, with different viewpoints.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's what we in NAFA really want to embrace
promote
and
as
promote,
well, because
yeah.
it's probably the way that a lot of people are moving towards.
The whole idea of interdisciplinary was that it allows you to connect with different people as well. So at that time, even though I was a fine art person, I did not limit myself to just painting.
Yeah.
Yeah, or like,
okay, let's do ceramics now. Or let's do watercolor painting.
So I actually explored things like maybe marketing for
Right,
non-business students from arts management.
Right.
So at the time, my friends were like,
You are going to take marketing? For what?
but if you think about it in the grander scheme of things, if you want to be an artist, personal branding is a thing. How do you market your works? Then I went on to even take MICE management. So it's like events management of sorts. So that's where people also ask me why. But if you were to curate your own exhibition, wouldn't you need to know some background knowledge as well?
Yeah.
So those were the kind of mods that I can remember off the bat that I took when I was in NAFA that really helped me to connect with these people and the industries that were in.
Fantastic.
And that's why I said design was quite seamless, because it somehow I would say I'm more towards the transversal side, because I don't really define myself as being in just one pocket where I'm a fine art person, but more of like in multiple areas also.
Right.
But I suppose that makes you come across as being very open-minded, which I think is something that we try to encourage in people, because open-mindedness is a very tricky thing, but you seem to just like get along with it just fine.
So, with all of that we've spoken about, I wouldn't say I completely understand what you do, but it's a really interesting topic because it's very hard for us creatives to have conversations with people like completely outside of our industry. I mean, I wouldn't say that you're completely outside, like you're on the fringes, right? But I feel like this is the future, right? And this is also one of the endless possibilities for our students, right? here in NAFA or our future students. So when you talk about, just now you were talking about questions, like you are basically fixing issues and things like that. What are the questions that, and who are asking these questions?
So typically, in my current role, I usually service more governmental agencies and
Okay.
businesses. So the kind of questions they look into streamlining, or
streamlining.
process optimization or efficiency. In my company's tagline or where I'm from Thales. So we believe in building a future we all trust. So that trust element is really important to us, and which is why how do we navigate the idea of trust in this complex world. So that's where we do a lot of things like user research, understanding things on the ground, understanding how technologies can help to how we can leverage on technology rather than just be afraid of technology. Yeah, with the rise of AI, for example, everyone's just all afraid, but I myself, my team, we are all excited about the
course, yeah,
opportunities
yeah.
that brings along.
What are you excited about with the rise of AI? Especially with your background in fine arts. Yeah, you are an alumni of NAFA and you majored in fine arts. So now with the rise of AI, you mentioned you and your team, you guys are excited about this opportunity, right? Like, what are you excited about?
AI as a tool for us, and AI as a co-pilot. So where we look into things like prompt, we talk about prompting and using prompts to actually generate some content. I'm sure everyone knows what ChatGPT is like. I'm sure we've used it at one point, be it writing emails, or generating certain images. So for us, we take it a little bit further. We look into things like prompt designing, prompt engineering, and also now we are moving towards the stage of prompt tuning as well. So to ensure, we get the best out of it. So in a way, for example, in traditional UX research, we do have something called the storyboarding or a user journey map. So that's where typically it will take really, really long, just to draw certain things. Even if you're asked to find a fine art person to draw something, it will take them,
Okay, I need to go through my sketching, I need to do the mood boards and all.
But for us, we are able to explore such things and such concepts in terms of how we place certain subject matters within that composition very quickly and see how we can refine from there.
Okay, interesting. Interesting that you mentioned fine arts, right? How has your background in fine arts helped you with your current role?
I mean, you guys with your art forms as well, you guys aim to be able to show a certain narrative through your works of art. So, and likewise for me, it's the way how I use my art or design to actually speak to the masses. So, in the form of, could it be data visualization, or empathy through storytelling? These are things that are a part and parcel of what we call as visual narratives for us to speak to our audiences and also our customers. Yeah.
You were mentioning something called empathy.
Empathy. Yeah.
Empathy.
Yeah. Why? I mean, we don't really hear that a lot, especially from tech sectors.
Actually, empathy has always been in my DNA. So anyone that does user research, it's paramount that you place empathy at the forefront of everything you do. So for example, if you have a problem, we do not come in with a very different view of like what we feel the solution could be. So in that sense, we are not trying to empathize with you already. So whenever there's a problem, we come in with the lens through empathy and understand, is there a reason why they are going through this, or is there a reason why the processes has always been like that?
So actually, your job deals a lot with idea generation.
Yes.
Is that because it sounds like what you do basically is to figure out the ideas and figure out, as you said, streamlining. So you're giving people these ideas and methods or how to like problem solve.
So typically we have something called so the part that we covered earlier was something called the framing. So we slowly move on where we will move into things like creative facilitation. So that's where we will typically host a design thinking workshop of sorts, or envisioning workshops, which includes like things like futures thinking. And with our years of expertise, we typically have a toolkit that has been built over the years to help prioritize certain ideas and also help generate ideas. And in very specific to the design thinking methodology, we use something called human-centered design. That's under the whole umbrella. And we typically delve into something called the divergent and convergent thinking. So as we diverge on ideas, we try to spam as many possible ideas as possible within that given scenario, and then we try to converge on something that is, what we would want. Yeah, then from there we can actually help to prioritize.
So do you have like a specific project that come in mind that has, demonstrated all of these things that you mentioned just now?
So if I would ask both of you guys, how would you all envision the future of travel?
I think traveling just got back on its feet,
It just got and it's actually coming back with a lot more of a vengeance. Yeah. Of course, then my rubbish mind goes back to thinking if a carpet could fly, then I would be flying on a carpet lah. So that's why I always think where's that place like Kampung Glam? It should be like a automobile. So you buy a carpet, unroll it, sit on it, and fly. Yeah, but that's my fantasy speaking. Yeah.
So what do you think the future of travel would be?
So actually for us, we look into things like you talk about people are traveling more ferocious.
Does that mean I'll get a flying carpet? No, okay.
Don't worry, there will be no new flying carpets like that of sort.
Okay, then one day there will be. So anyway, sorry.
Yeah, so basically for us, we really look into like how do we potentially keep up with the demand for people who are like traveling more and more. And with Singapore being like a global hub for traveling, we are looking into how might we make the future of travel more safe, secure, and streamlined. What if we could just do away entirely without gates, for example? So we are looking into things like the next gen borderless clearance, for example, and where as you are walking through to your plane, you do not need to stumble and take out your passport or stand there and have your biometric scan. So as part of our role, we do take on a multi-stakeholder approach where we don't only work on our own, which is why typically in my role we embark on something. We don't call it as innovating, but we call it as co-innovating. Yeah, so we don't only innovate on our own this new emerging tech, but more of like we co-innovate, co-design, and co-create these emerging techs with our customer and also the people that is using this technology. So we take into consideration, empathy, right? Take into consideration their concerns, their pain points, and we try to leverage on that and understand what are the best possible outcomes out of this.
So this is very similar to like multidisciplinary, right?
I suppose so. It's like because he's basically saying that there are so many different things that they have to think about.
And one other aspect is that we also look into collaborating with a lot of academics, as well as now we are moving towards open innovation as well. So we realize that we may not be the domain expert in all areas, which is why we are starting to integrate startups to work with us as well to help identify some of these challenge statements and see how we can solve these complex problems together.
Speaking of energy, right? Like there's a lot of conversations about how AI. And there are a lot of concerns, right, around AI and its massive use of technology. Do you have any thoughts on this?
So AI is a problem. I would say as of now, it's definitely at the back of our minds because we are always trying to mitigate such challenges for sure. But as of now, we are moving towards the more of how do we. I guess the more current mindset that people have is more of like,
will AI take over our jobs? Will AI, replace me? That kind of thing.
Which is why the conversations between AI as a threat is not so much on what you have said earlier. That's from my view. But for us, we look into AI in terms of integrating into processes, optimization. Yeah.
Okay, so do you believe, right, that AI or technology, in the broad sense, and the arts can be used together and to create something new, to create something more efficient, to create something more exciting?
I guess for the fine arts side, there's a lot of exhibitions that are slowly surrounding around AI, and a lot of tech companies are also starting to when I talk about tech companies, creative tech companies. So like where they leverage on things like VR, AR to actually help bring in a certain experience to people. So it's like to bridge that kind of virtual with the current physical realm.
I understand like the majority of sentiments around AI would be, like you mentioned, AI will robots one day take my job, right? Things like that. But I think a lot of our concerns, I don't know about you, but in our department, right?
Mm.
A lot of our concerns surrounding AI would be the morals and ethics around AI.
You have to be clever about it. I think AI is developing in a way, I think it's developing in a certain way, and basically we kind of just need to kind of see where this belongs. It's a bit like technology, and I suppose people thinking, will technology take over the role of, say, the performer or the musician? And at the end of the day, actually it doesn't. But we find ways to complement and to assist.
But I want to people also. Do you have like any super changing projects, clients that you are like,
Wow, I don't know how to fix this. Maybe I need to ask somebody. Maybe I need to ask my mentors.
I think it comes with its own set of challenges.
Yes.
Even I guess the main thing is really how do we adapt to it
right?
and really align your passion with the purpose, so what you set out to do. And really, I guess for me, I do seek out active mentorship when I have issues like this. Sometimes when I meet someone that or I come across a profile that I thought that might resonate with me a lot, or the things that they do are quite interesting, I will actually reach out to them and like, hey, can I grab you a coffee? Or can I grab you lunch? Like most people would be like,
No, like I'm not going to. Like you're weird.
Trade secrets.
but for me, I just like, if you never try, you never know, right?
I'll take it.
always say yes.
Yeah, I'll always say yes.
And even my boss will always say that, I want to be like you, like very thick-skinned. So I'm always here to learn. And I try to be, hungry enough to reach out to these opportunities and actually ask them, hey, can I learn from you?
Has anything good ever come up?
Most of the time, they actually say yes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and I do get to buy them coffee or even lunch. And what's really amazing is the kind of knowledge and expertise that they share. Like going through the industry, and with my field, actually it's quite a niche field as well.
Right.
So I was able to get a lot of insights from these people.
That's
Maybe.
interesting.
That's
You remember we just talked about this on the other podcast about being curious about stuff. This is
Right.
basically,
This
so
is
it's actually
it.
all lining up fairly. So because we said that I was just sharing this incident I had with a conductor that I worked with over this weekend. And during one of the rehearsals, he mentioned about his encounter with another very, very brilliant musician. And, she was asked the question of what makes a great musician. Is it your skill? Is it your teacher? Is it this, that? And she said, no. The thing that makes you great is curiosity. To be hungry, to find out more, and to, I suppose, take a lot of joy in discovering things.
So for me, I like what you say about curiosity, right?
I'll take it.
always say yes.
Yeah, I'll always say yes.
I really do shape my role and my experience so far based on curiosity rather than expertise. Because with expertise, honestly, we have to constantly learn. It's a given that we need to be our domain experts. But being curious, right, will be able to help you to grow further and be adaptable.
And actually, I'm just going to extract all the things there because you've mentioned a few things that open-mindedness is one thing.
Yes.
Be your domain expert is the other, because a lot of people are very curious and then they claim to be the domain expert.
Right.
And that's when you have a lot of charlatans running around who claim to have a lot of expertise but actually don't. So be really, really know what you can do, and if you can be better, just be a lot better at what you do.
Right.
That whole thing that we mentioned the last time about having your fundamental skill set is really important, and I believe you also see that the fundamental skill set is important.
That's the baseline. I guess the mindset is really important because most of the time people will always ask me,
What does it take to be successful in design? Or, what would you say is your strongest design skill set?
Right.
but I'm like, those were the wrong kind of questions. And I typically do not like to answer such questions because it will not be relevant in the next 2 years. Because what really will shape you is your hunger to learn and how the soft skills that comes along. Yeah.
I suppose it's also good advice for, say, some of our students who
Right.
aren't, when they finish whatever course they take and they're like,
I have no idea what I'm doing.
because I'm sure there'll be many people who graduate and they're like,
What now?
what now? So is there anything like advice or things that they can think about as they step out?
I would say that constantly ask yourself where do you have that seat in the table. So
Yeah.
that's where, as I was going through my degree, my time in NAFA, I asked myself, what role do I play as a creative in that table, and against these people who are studying business, engineering, marketing, and what. So I will be firm and I'll be like, creative also can do a part. Yeah.
I think it's very interesting to hear that, because usually when people think about creative industries, they would always think that we are on a different lane, right? We are on our own lane.
Yeah.
When actually the lanes, the special lane, the bus lane,
The handicap zone.
the starving harpies lane, and then, but there are other lanes that we do meet, we do intersect.
Yeah.
And I think Hubert is like the living proof of it, right? Where you are still in,
You're essentially still doing fine arts.
right,
But-
just incorporating technology. But then I think that you, with all the discipline that you've learned from your time as a fine artist, you have brought this forward to your current role, right? But maybe one of my last capo, do you still paint?
Yes, I do. I actually just came back from an exhibition from Bangkok.
Right.
So it was a joint, exhibition with Singapore and Thai artists, and I got to represent Singapore for that. And it was really exciting because I got to, embark on this idea of cross-cultural exchange with these
Right.
people and really understand, what really shapes their art, their inspiration and all. And that's the part of me where I still do it in my free time. And I make it as a non-negotiable. So every year I try my best to contribute back to Singapore Art Week, Singapore Design Week, because I believe that the community has so much more to offer.
Right. So it is personal practice.
That's personal
So
practice,
I feel that no matter what, right? Like I spoke about it in the previous episode where, no matter what, I still need to touch fabric on my
Correct.
own without,
Correct. Yeah.
thinking, this is for my students.
No, this is for
This is
myself.
me, right?
And I need that
Right. And
catharsis, basically.
And I see that you also, no matter, your role, no matter how busy you are, you still go back to fine arts. And it's really nice to see. Yeah.
Time can be made, like honestly. It's about how you prioritize.
Please
How
tell
you-
my students that time can be made.
Yeah, so 15 garments next month.
You heard him. Yeah, so I think that's a very good conversation
Yeah.
about
Yeah.
arts, technology.
And basically this whole idea of what a design strategist is. I think that for
Right.
me is like, now you know that there is this area.
Right.
Yeah.
That is open,
Yeah.
that is accessible to everybody, especially for our students or our
Yeah.
potential
Essentially,
students.
I'm just trying to see how that ties in with every other performing artist and all. And we always say that you hire people not just on the things that they do, but the attitudes that they bring
Right.
to the job. So creators often have a certain mindset, and within those little disciplines, you have even more specific details. And I'm sure the mindset that you have as someone who does fine art, it ties in and possibly even exceeds what others may expect you to do as a design strategist. I think that's all actually very interesting. So thank you for that. Yeah.
Last one. Any advice for aspiring fine artists or any advice for aspiring design strategists that,
Or should they stay in fine art?
should they stay in fine arts or should they not?
I'd say I think one key advice is that like I shared very much earlier on, is that I really shape my expertise not purely based on what I do, but more on curiosity. And I really look into embracing, we have been brought up being told, like we need to always embrace the best practices, right? But rather than just embracing the best practices, I would say embrace the next practices instead. So think about, project yourself in the future and ask yourself, what are the valuable skills or value propositions that you can bring to your next employer, or even
For
to the
yourself,
things
I
yeah,
suppose,
correct.
even, yeah.
And what do you want to learn of this? Because you can be stuck doing painting, but if you're going to just be doing everything traditional, you might, be something that is of the past already. So, which is why I think have faith in the process, understand what you want to do. I think that those are really important things to look forward.
I think this advice can also transcend for all of
Yeah,
our creative
absolutely, yeah,
industries
yeah.
too, right? It's not
Yeah.
just in fine arts.
No, it's not just for
Yeah,
fine arts.
because I
It's-
feel that, our students will always have to, number one, be curious, guys. Please be curious, right?
Yeah, I like that idea of like thinking about what's the next practices. It's not
Yes.
just the best practices, but there will be all these new practices that come out, and it's just give it a go and see what happens. In fact, that's something that we always tell like a lot of our music students who are afraid to even just express themselves in a different way.
Right.
And then I say, just try this. What's the worst that can happen?
Because I always tell my students, make mistakes now.
While in school.
While you're
Yeah.
in school. Like,
but,
you're
yeah.
not going to get fired
No.
from school.
No.
Right? Like you have all this leeway, you have all this time
Correct.
to make mistakes, to
Correct.
figure out what works for you.
Correct. And then, even the next time, you will make mistakes.
Of course.
You can't escape mistakes. They will happen all the time. Just learn from it. And by learning from it, just know how you got there.
Right.
And if you ever need to go that direction again, do it. Because I don't believe that there's wrong, like
Of course
correct
not,
and
yeah.
wrong. But they are different.
Yes.
This is what you get if you do this. Remember that, because next time you will need to use that particular thing for
Right.
something really crucial.
One more thing is that, learn how to speak the language of your stakeholders. I think those are very important because most of your people are not, it may seem a bit chim, but most people are not designers, they're not performing artists, they are, they are actually people who have money to actually potentially fund your business. So, which is why I always tell people, even my guest lecture in UAS was designing beyond design, because the whole idea of, don't just stick to your own discipline, but look beyond.
Even we can learn that language of the stakeholders as
Right,
well, because
yeah.
that will in turn make our craft go a lot further.
Of course, yeah.
Which I think that's very valuable knowledge.
Advice,
Yeah. So
yeah.
thank you. for
Thank
that.
you.
Thank
So with that, we will wrap up today's session. Thank you so much, Hubert, for joining us.
Happy to be here.
We learned so much. To
Mhm.
wrap it up, to sum it up, curious, stay curious, guys. Communicate. Make friends with everyone. Okay, every interdisciplinary. Please.
Make sure your foundation is good.
Make sure your foundation is good. Okay?
Actually, I mean, there's so many things, but you have to watch the entire episode again for all of that.
Now we are back to our favorite, actually my favorite. I don't know if Nicholas likes it, but I love it. Questions from a mug, right? Where Nicholas will magically
Stick his hand out into thin air, and there should be a cup somewhere here. Okay, and then you say on the count of 3 which one I
Stop.
draw. Okay, fine. It would be.
So nerve-wracking.
What does courage to create mean to you?
Wow. So I guess courage to create really means to actually explore the unlimited potential within the industry, like I shared very much earlier, to explore things beyond your discipline. I think that's really, it takes a lot of courage to do, and
Right.
it was something that I was really shy to begin with, and I guess it really helped to pave the way to many new opportunities.
I suppose this all comes back to the theme of endless possibilities.
It does,
don't you think?
yes.
Where at the end of the day, you find your courage to create with the endless.
And it comes from anywhere. Where does the courage to create? I don't know whether it's courage, but I guess it's just trying everything and anything. It's like, hey, let's just give it a go. So I guess courage to create, just dare to just try. If it doesn't work, what's the worst that can happen?
I feel that this is what we have in common, especially as creative, no matter what industries, is that we always want to try to push it just a little bit every day. Like I think I mentioned this in the first episode that we as designers or we as creatives, we are problem solvers.
Correct.
There's always some problem within the world that we want to
Correct.
solve. And I think that's how a lot of innovation happens. Just
Hey, do you know how to do this? Yeah, you have the skills? I have the time. Hey, you have the money? Okay, let's do this.
Something like that, yeah.
so stay tuned for our next episode where we will have another special guest, but it's secret. So you need to find out.
It's so secret that I don't even know what it is.
Only I know. Okay, see you guys
Okay, bye.
next episode. Bye.
See you. Bye-bye.